Welcome back to the Iron Insight. Thank you for starting the week off right with the Iron Insight. Every Monday morning at 4 a.m., I'm Bryn Welds.
And I'm Andrew Nichols with Southern Leatherworks.
And today we're sitting down with Brad White from ArcLifeFab on Instagram and all social media platforms. ArcLifeFab. He's a TIG welder and does a bunch of side work with wood and metal combinations. And he's got a pretty interesting story, so let's get into it. Mr. Brad, how's it going?
It's going, brother. How's it going, kid?
It's what do you got going on today? You wanted the early slot for our filming.
Just some side work, man. I got some trim that I'm installing in some people's house to make their kids' room and their bedroom cooler, and then I got to pick up steel for a railing job, and then working on a live edge table.
You got a lot of side work. Do you ever think about going full time solo?
It's a dream, but I'm terrified. As like the only income in my house for right now. Ooh, mosquito. The only income in my house is just kind of like skeptic. But my wife's gonna go back to teaching and stuff like that, so it'll be good.
It's like double full time.
Yeah.
How do you?
How do I
So
manage?
how do you unwind? I mean, because I struggle with leaving work and bringing it home.
I just go to sleep. So ADHD is really bad with me, and I hated taking meds growing up because like my mom would be like, "Oh, you got to take your Adderall," and Adderall makes me sleepy, believe it or not. So that's how I know it's real. And I don't like being groggy. I don't like being bogged down. So over the years, I've just learned to like basically wear myself down mentally. Okay, that's when I'm going to bed, and then,
That's crazy.
So just go till you drop. That's
pretty
how
much.
we do it. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds crazy, but at the same time, like it works.
That's the thing. If that works for you in this industry and that keeps you going in this industry, that's what you got to do. I mean, you got to find what works best for you.
Yeah, and I mean, there's always energy drinks if it gets too hard. So.
And you probably have the most side work. It's not side work. It's like full time.
Yeah, I mean, dude, and I don't advertise. It's all word of mouth. Like, it's all from either, like, repeat customers or, like, I'll do something for someone in a neighborhood, and then they'll come in and they'll be like, oh, well, I told my neighbor about you, or I get a text from someone during the day like, hey, Brad, so-and-so gave me your number. You just finished up something for them. Like, I'd like to see about getting something done for you. So this is kind of, how it goes.
You did a large handrail recently.
Yeah.
Was that a new construction?
It was, they built the deck, and then he had the handrail on there. Basically, the guy is a civil engineer. Like, he does drawings and planning, like, for the land plots and stuff like that for, like, new subdivisions and neighborhoods and stuff. And he wanted to give it his go at designing their deck. And so he came up with the design for the railing and how they wanted everything to go. And there were other people in it, like, as far as other companies bidding on it, but I presume I was the cheapest because, like, with every contract, they always take the cheapest bidder.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you have a plasma table?
My buddy Pancake does. David Pancake for Pancake Customs. He used to just, let's see, rewind a bit. Several years ago, we used to live in the same neighborhood, and when they first moved from Vegas to New Braunfels, they needed a doggy door installed, and they had a bunch of work done on their house, and so his wife hit in the neighborhood Facebook group, like, hit up, and then so it was like, all right, cool, I can put in your doggy door. So, like, went in, put in the doggy door, met his wife, she was cool. She's like, hey, I got some other stuff that needs to be done. Like, I put together their entertainment center. Like, I would just do, like, little side things because it's like, oh, I can make $20 here or, $50 here. Like, every little bit helps towards anything. And, you know, I got time. I ain't got nothing going on. Let's do it. And so it just pretty much went from there to meeting him. And after meeting him, I'm like, hey, I had a guy, Chris, that was helping me out with side work. So Chris's side work helped with me turned into his own business, Ansley Staining. So, like, he stains fences and builds fences and stuff. So he got too busy to help me, and I needed someone to help me build decks on the weekends. And so I just reached out in the neighborhood, and he answered. And he's like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, but you can teach me. And I'm like, all right, cool. So, and then eventually it grew into, wait, what's this plasma table thing? What's this? What's that? Like, maybe I can learn this. Like, I know computers. How can I go? And he just self-taught himself through YouTube. University of YouTube, baby. And then, yeah, he bought a Langmuir 4x3. We got, what is it, the 52i plasma from Everlast running it. And it's been good, man. Like,
he still helps with you?
Oh, yeah. He's actually, I think at the end of the month, he's moving back to Vegas. So he's not going to be here anymore. You know.
Well, speaking of moving to New Braunfels, at FabTech, you were telling me a little bit about that's New Braunfels, Texas, by the way.
Yeah,
and
there's only one.
FabTech, you were telling me about the population increase over the past couple of years.
Oh God, dude, it's let's see, I think it's doubled over the last like 5 years. So it was like 65,000 or so in like 2018, 2019, and now it's like closer to 130.
Dang.
Yikes.
Yeah. Thank you, California. If California didn't suck so bad.
You're right outside of San Antonio, right?
Yeah, well, basically right in between San Antonio and Austin.
Oh, man, I'd be in Austin all the time at the mothership.
Dude. Oh, dude, we went to the mothership one night, like me, my wife, and another couple of our friends of ours. Oh, dude, the lineup that night was William Montgomery. Who is it? William Montgomery. Gosh, I can't think of his name. He annoys me on Rogan's podcast, but he's actually Duncan Trussell. William Montgomery, Duncan Trussell, Tony Hinchcliffe, and Joe Rogan. And like, dude, Duncan Trussell was so hilarious and so funny, and Tony Hinchcliffe was hilarious, and Rogan was absolutely hilarious. Like, it wasn't that bad. It was like $200, I think, for the table, and then you have like a 2-drink minimum. So for a night, and honestly, I think it started at like 7. It started early. It was like starts at like 7 or 7:30, and we were home before midnight. So for an adult night out, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Was it a Kill Tony show, or was it?
No. It was just like them doing regular stand up.
Damn.
Totally want to go back. There's been several. I mean, there's been several comedians that have, done pop-ins and stuff, and supposedly, rumored Chappelle's going to be coming through like in August. So I want to go see him. I would love to go see Joey Diaz.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, just I like the brutal comics. I like people that say shit that you're like, whoa,
Hey, we should check that. Hey,
I want to watch
like that one.
I want to watch a lady clutch her pearls in the audience. Like, I'm down for that. Like, say the most obnoxious crap you can think of. Like, piss some people off when you talk. Let's go.
Joey was talking about getting a condo down there so he can come more often. He said he doesn't want to move his daughter again, but he wants to be closer to Austin.
Definitely. Yeah, I could see that. That'd be cool. I mean, dude, there's been several people that moved here that have actually changed things, like Elon, of course,
Isn't there well, he's making a gigafactory, right?
Yeah. I think that's actually between Austin and Bastrop. So, like, on the east side of Austin is where the Tesla factory is. And then Bastrop, he's got something going on over there, which is like a small town. And in between there, he's building a city for like all of his employees, basically. And then like north of Waco is where they test all the rockets at. And then in like basically just north of Brownsville, like around Harlingen or whatever, that's where SpaceX launches from.
Huh.
So.
Is in like the lobby of the mothership, was there some metal art? Like I think I remember him posting.
Yeah, he's got some stuff. Yeah, he's got some stuff, dude. He's got some crazy stuff around there. You know.
I want to see William Montgomery live so bad.
Dude, I cannot stand that guy. He's so fucking annoying. Like,
no way.
Dude, he was on stage and I just wanted to just choke the shit out of him. Like I don't like the fact that he's like yelling to try to get his joke across, and then like he yells at the audience like, "Why aren't you laughing?" It's because you're fucking yelling at us, dude. Like like everybody here has been yelling at their kids all day long. Like nobody wants to yell anymore. We're here to laugh.
Everybody here's been yelling at their kids all day.
Yeah, maybe
like there's 250 people here have been yelling at their kids all day long. Like, hey, bro, you gotta just come down a little bit, okay?
Just bring the noise level down, man. Let's just bring it down.
You're at a 10, I need you at a 2, okay? Like,
dude, I love when he does crowd work on Kill Tony. He'll be like, "Why are you talking, bitch?"
he does that during his show too.
Damn.
Or he did that during ours. Like he was like yelling at people for not laughing, and then nobody laughed. Still.
It might be different in person. Or Casey Rocket. You like Casey Rocket or no?
Casey Rocket, that guy's crazy. Like, well, I mean, like my brain comprehends him, which is weird. But he reminds me of a chicken, like the way he just kind of like pecks around and like goes around everywhere. Like so, I like that Cam guy. He's funny.
Cam Patterson.
Yeah, Cam. He's just like I like rock. I'm not retarded or nothing. Well, maybe I'm not, but I like rock.
I like rocks. He pulls rocks out of his pocket. That was the best video I've ever seen.
I would like to go. I would like to go see Kill Tony, but dude, it sells out so quick.
I feel like it's so hit or miss on who the guests are too.
Yeah, like, which I mean they keep it that way, but I mean you gotta. Like, that room that Kill Tony is filmed in, the big one, like, it only holds, like, 250 people. And then they'll, like, have the audience in there. And then, from my understanding, is all the comedians that sign up for the bucket or whatever, they're kind of, like, lined up outside or in the other, there's, like, another, because they have, like, 2 rooms there. And then in the other room, they'll have something there. I listen to Rogan all the time and, you know, bits and pieces from time, kind of like, oh, okay.
Did you watch the roast of Tom Brady?
Of course, dude. Tony Hinchcliffe killed it.
Right.
Everybody was talking about how good Nikki Glaser did. No. Tony Hinchcliffe is how you roast somebody. You want to make them pissed off. That's how it's done.
Did you hear what Tom Brady said to Tony?
Yeah. I'll put my shoe in your ass. You know.
Yeah. That's funny.
Tom quickly realized that he was well out of his league when they started
like,
saying some stuff.
They're not being nice to me. They're not kissing my ass. What did I sign up for? This is called the roast, buddy.
Yeah, I'm watching it with my brother, and I'm like, oh, wow, he just said that about his ex-wife and kids. Okay, then. All right, we're going to keep going.
My favorite joke was the stool joke. Like, Kevin Hart's using the stool behind the podium that Aaron Hernandez kicked out from underneath himself. I was like, oh, finally, somebody said it.
Oh, the Aaron Hernandez jokes were great. And then, all of those were great.
I mean.
it's like, he kind of like avenged himself. He wrote 10 of those roasts before, like the one of Donald Trump. Tony was a writer for 10 roasts before this one. So he broke the rules. Like, I listened to the whole podcast where he kind of like exposed it, and that was
was that Two Bears One Cave?
Yeah, that was great. I'm glad he broke the rules and went up to the stage and everything. When we went to the mothership that night, I was actually hoping to Tom Segura would pop in, but we didn't get him that night. I was like, Tom didn't want to go on stage with Bert at that roast.
I don't know. I mean, I thought in the beginning Bert is funny, but I don't know, man. Like, you know, everybody's got their place and doing their thing, and obviously somewhere along the lines, you know, he's become popular. But
yeah. Speaking of Casey Rocket being like a chicken, you were letting your chickens out before this episode, right?
yeah, man, we got 4 chickens. Built a coop. Actually, built a chicken coop in the backyard, and we got 4 chickens, 4 hens, and just trying to get some eggs going. Hopefully by Thanksgiving they'll start laying. So
Stainless steel chicken coop with all nice TIG welds
I
all
wish,
the way
bro.
around.
Honestly, I do a lot of woodwork, man. Like,
That would be the most badass chicken coop ever.
it would be a hot chicken coop, bro. It's Texas, man. Like,
That's true.
we're in the 100-degree season, so it's triple digits until October here. Usually begins the middle of the May through October.
I saw an old post you had. You said it's that season or something like that, and you had put like fans in your hood.
Yeah, Pennyweld was a company that used to make like fans that had you could charge them up, and they had like little fans, and they had some with like speakers and stuff like that. Like when they first came out, I jumped on the bandwagon. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. But the charging them every day, using them every day, they just they would work good for the first couple hours, and then okay, cool. Recharge it at break time. Okay, let it recharge for a little while. Put it back in. Go. And then, okay, by lunchtime, all right, got to charge it again. So, like 4 times a day, I'm charging it just to minimize the heat in my face.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. But
yeah,
now
it lasted about 3 months, and then you know.
I work in a shop with AC now, so I'm spoiled.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, I don't think I've ever worked in an AC shop.
I've only worked in 2, but this new one, they spoil us pretty nice.
Actually, you know what? There's a poly plant in Dow Plant B in Freeport that the whole inside is all like stainless and Inconel and titanium because they do all the plastics that go into medical use and like CDs. This is back when CD technology was like the thing still. I know y'all might not know what a CD is, but they would go in, you know, like plastic, the IV bags and syringes and CDs and all that. And it's all like ISO 9006. So you got to go in a lockup, like take this weird like ionizing shower, and then put the white suits on and everything, the little booties and all, and then go into like another room. And then go into that little clean room, and then all your tools have to be cleaned and stuff before you can go in there and actually work in a unit. And like that place was air conditioned.
Is it ISO? What'd you say?
I think it's 9006.
Is it? Are they?
It's
is that
whatever
like the medical side?
Yeah, whatever the medical ISO is.
We're going right now from ISO 9001 to 91 AS 9100.
Oh, okay.
For more aerospace and defense contracting.
You gotta get your like 17.1, 17.2, 17.3 cert.
I have to?
Yeah, do you?
Oh, I don't know. I don't even know. I just know that's what we're trying to do because we're hiring a manufacturing engineer right now that can hopefully take us to that.
Usually, go ahead.
I got a good buddy that I would steal from my previous shop. Probably the only worthy one that if I had my own business that I would want to work with me. This guy's a killer. Like lean manufacturing, this guy is it, and he knows his shit. So I'm trying to steal him from the previous company I work for, but my dad is a big wig at the previous company I work for, so he knows that I'm trying to steal him. So it's
pretty easy. Just offer him more money.
Yeah, whoever pays more money, that's where he's going. I guarantee it.
Hey, more money in air conditioning? You had me at air conditioning, bro. No need to talk
you
more.
had me in air conditioning. I would take $1 or $2 cut to work in the air conditioning.
Ooh.
That's what I was thinking, and then they ended up paying us better. And the main reason I left was because that shop was like, you know how it is on a tractor, like a combine. Well, Andrew, you worked at Case, New Holland.
Yep.
It's just like throw some shit down and keep going.
Just stick it together. It's good.
Dude, I worked at Alamo here in Seguin, because like the shop I work at's in Seguin, and when we first moved from Austin to the area, like I got a job working there, and it was so like Alamo just does like the big mowers that you see on the tractors, and it's all spray transfer, man. So like everything's like half inch or thicker, and I was there for like 3 months, and it was just like, dude, spray transfer is so easy, and these guys have been doing it for so long that they're just jaded at their job, but they're, you know, like, it was one of those places where, like, you got to get there 30 minutes before work, and they make you stretch and do your exercises before, and then, okay, the bell rings, okay, go to your station, don't leave your station. Well, dude, it's like, you had me right by the powder coating booth, and it's 140 degrees, and they're like, well, just drink plenty of water. And so, like, okay.
Oh, my gosh.
So it was like, this is going to be my life. Like, I can't do this. Like, this is,
No.
I need something more than this. And I think they were using, like, we were using 16th-inch wire and running, like, 26 volts and just flat out just going. You know, when you're like, oh, I need more wire, and they dump off, like, the freaking 55-gallon barrel of wire.
Yeah.
And you're like, I burned through, like, a barrel in 2 weeks.
Oh, my goodness.
I was like, dude, this is not good. I got to find something.
That sounds like my exact situation and why I left. It wasn't the heat necessarily, but it was shitty management, first off. Here's how I know it was shitty management. Like, for sure, because I was like, man, is every shop going to be like this?
You have so many years of experience, right? Is that what it is?
No. Here's the thing. I was questioning myself. I was like, is every shop going to be like this? Is every management team going to be like this? And then I was like, fuck it. I'm going to take this job. I know the owner of the company I work for a while because he coached my brother in T-ball. Used to work at a record shop that my dad used to go to all the time. Like, my dad and him were in similar circles. So at my past job, I was like, this can't be the norm of management. And I go to put my 2 weeks in. Okay, plant manager's gone, HR's gone, my supervisor's gone, my interim supervisor's gone, and the manufacturing or the production supervisor, he was gone too. So everybody I could have put my 2 weeks into would have been like laser supervisor or somebody like that. Just and they were all gone. I gave them a month notice because they were all gone.
Wow. So I usually give a 2-day notice. Like, today's my last day. Like, I'm out.
My last day. That was me at Case. I gave them 5 days. It was like, I'm stretching every morning for those first 5 days, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going back to Florida. I had to go hunt down my supervisor. I said, hey, man, this ain't for me. I'll see y'all later. He's like, well, and he was like, whoa. I was like, nah, man, I'm gone. This shit sucks. This is awful.
Like, I remember when you did that.
Before we moved to Seguin, I was working at a place, Falcon Containers, and so it was like building shipping container houses, and we had finished up this giant contract for like building up training facilities outside of Clovis, New Mexico for the military. So it's like building breech doors and stuff for them to kick everything, but at the same time you're like having like little mounts up so they can video everything, like train for drone strikes or train for drones with like ground troops. And it was crazy, man. It was something like 6,000 structures that we built. You know, we're stacking them together, making them look like a school, and then at the same time we'd have special projects like building high-end shipping container houses for places. And like, it comes to the end of the contract and they're like, hey, but at the time, like, my wife and I had already moved to Seguin, which was like 45 minutes south of Austin, just because Austin's getting too crazy. Like, it takes you an hour to get anywhere. Like, we're trying to go a mile and a half to the grocery store. It takes an hour just because there's so many people there. So we're like, let's get out of here. But this is like 10 years ago, or longer than that. I don't know.
Well, I seen a couple years ago you posted a picture standing inside of a huge pipe Well, it was.
It wasn't a
kind of
pipe, it was a filter.
Yeah, it was already formed. I was going to ask you, what kind of fucking filter is that?
Okay, so that's for the company I work for now. I've been there like 10 and a half years. Well, October will be 11 years I've been there. And so we build high-end air particulate filtration systems and mainly specialize in like giant lint filters. So you know that lint trap you empty on your dryer?
Yeah.
Like we make giant ones for like big laundries for like stadiums and hospitals, and like I'm 2 NFL stadiums short of having one of the filters that I have built specifically in an NFL stadium. Just 2 of them. That's all I need. 2 more. So
What material was that made out of?
16 gauge 304 stainless. That was one of the larger ones. I think that one was like a 30,000 CFM like filter. But yeah. So we do anything. How tall am I? I'm 6'3".
Yeah. Yeah, I'll pop that up for reference. I'll clip that and put it on social media. That thing was huge.
Yeah, that one. I think that one was an 82-inch diameter. The largest one I've built there was like 40,000 CFMs, and it's at the Disney Resort in Hawaii. I think it's on the Kauai Island. I think that's where Hobbs is at right now. Actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's probably where Hobbs is.
Yeah, like my stainless filter is there, and it was kind of cool because like we built that filter. That was actually the year my wife and I got married in 2000. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's 2016. I think is when we got married, and so we're on our honeymoon, and we thought New Orleans was gonna be this great thing, but like we're like. We get down there, and they have, like, champagne in the room. Like, my boss and one of the guys at work is, like, paid for our hotel to kind of, like, as a wedding gift. So it's, like, this – we got this awesome suite, and we're, like, right there on Bourbon Street. So we're like, oh, cool. And then we drink some champagne and, like, all right, let's take a nap. And then we wake up, we're like, oh, let's go to Bourbon Street. Yeah, let's party. Dude, Bourbon Street was, like, right across for the entrance to it. We get on Bourbon Street. Within the first block, we see like 3 people throwing up on a little alleyway, and this homeless guy taking a shit. And we're like, "What's that? Oh, that smell is horrible!" Like, no, Bourbon Street's terrible. Like,
it's trashy. It is trashy. It's still trashy.
We're like, yeah. And then, like a couple of days into it, my boss texted me. He's like, how's things going? You doing okay? I hate to ask this, but we got this big rush order. Would you be willing to come back early? And I was like, I don't know. And then I told my wife, and she's like, yeah, this is kind of boring. Like, let's just go back.
Damn. Are you looking forward to Orlando Fab Tech this year?
Yeah, dude, totally am. I really, really am. Like, I hate Atlanta. Everybody hates Atlanta. Apparently,
I hate Atlanta. Atlanta sucks.
Yeah, you know, I don't know. Atlanta was my first Fab Tech, so y'all's first year at Fab Tech was my first year at Fab Tech, actually.
Okay, I was gonna ask that. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I had never made it prior to that, and you know, it was one of those things where I got there early and was supposed to be helping Stacia and Eric set up because that was their first Fab Tech too, I believe. I think they had done like a few things before. I think Danae or somebody like was like you could meet her and get a free cup or something like that if you find out where she's at. They did some promo thing like that, and then met them. That was cool. But then Jesse was trying to set up the Everlast booth. And it was, excuse me, it was like me, Johnny Dabbs, and Austin Hill, and Sarah Stork. We were all at the airport together. So, and that was like the first time we met. And then we see that Jesse's like on his deathbed, dude. Like, guy looked like, first words out of meeting Jesse in person, out of knowing Jesse for a year, he's like, I think I got COVID. You got to stay away from me, man. And I'm like, great. I fucking get to Fab Tech for the first time, get to meet this dude who I've talked to online forever. And he's like, I got COVID. I'm going to die. Great, buddy. And then so he's like, so I'm like, well, what can I help you with? And he's like, well, stay over there and put those carts together. And so the three of us just jumped in and started putting carts together. And he's like, I gotta go lay down. And then that was pretty much like our intro to one another in person. And then, then you fast forward to Chicago Fab Tech the next year, and it's like, I'm flying to Kansas City, we're loading up the truck at the Everlast school, and then then he's like, let's just leave tonight. I'm like, all right. He's like, I'm good. I'm going to get Red Bull and a pack of cigarettes, and, like, we can make it to Chicago. Let's just get there a day early. And, that was fun.
Tell us a little bit about how that went at Chicago.
Oh, dude. Keep in mind, I am just the unloading muscle. Let's just put it that way. So where
that's all you're there for, is just to take heavy boxes here and put heavy boxes there.
Yeah. I picked them up and put them down.
I picked them up and I put them down. Yes.
And like pretty much just like, hey, I'm I don't have any authority with anybody. I'm just there, just trying to help my buddy out, and trying to establish a better relationship with a company that I've been with for a while, and they invited me, so like, hey, I'm gonna do my job, like, no problem. And dude, it's like we get there early, thinking that, okay, we can unload like 2 days early. Like, sweet, let's get this knocked out. Jesse and I are go-getters. Like, y'all know the drill. Like, the earlier you get in, the earlier you get out. Like, let's get it over with. We went a couple of days to explore Chicago, but between the unions and the Teamsters and like all that stuff, dude, I'm not saying he bribed anybody. I don't know. I never saw money exchange hands. But I do know that it was like a day and a half later that we got to unload. And then even then, we couldn't unload ourselves. Somebody else had to unload us and move it to our spot before we could do anything. And we were at a door by the booth, like maybe, 50 yards from where the booth was, and they wouldn't let us unload the truck.
That's so dumb. So after telling us all of this, what's your personal opinion on unions? We got to know.
I have a love-hate relationship with unions. I know at one time in life, the unions were probably a really great thing, and they helped set the precedent for all of us in history as far as like treatment from companies to workers and stuff like that, right? At one point in my career, very early on, I was in the Boilermaker union down there I basically shunned the idea of working with family, and like, because growing up in like a welding environment, welding shop, and my dad doing it, my grandpa being a welding teacher and everything, like, I was burnt out on welding by the time I graduated high school. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be a welder. So I did scaffold building for a little bit. And then scaffold building to me was really easy, but I don't like height. So so I did like scaffold building for like a year, and then we were on a turnaround, and we were in a shop, like a weld shop in a unit, and these welders were like talking shit to another guy, and my dad was one of the guys in there. My dad goes, I bet that scaffold builder over there can out-weld everybody in this room. And the guy's like, there's no way. That scaffold builder can't do anything. He starts running his mouth, and he's like, what do you think? And I'm like, oh, me? And I'm like 19. I'm like, yeah, dude. He's like, well, here, we'll just make it something easy. And I remember it being like a 6-inch Schedule 40, 316, just like 6G weld. And I had been sitting in my grandpa's classroom since I was 6, man. The first process I ever learned was DC aluminum TIG.
Okay.
Yeah. Because after school was his advanced, like after I got out of school in the afternoons was his advanced TIG class. And so I would sit in his advanced TIG class, and I would have to sit at the front because I'm this jittery, nervous little kid that can't sit still, and he, got to keep me in line. So yeah, like DC TIG alley was the first thing I learned at like 6 years old. And so, yeah, I rocked that 6G test, and the foreman saw me, and he's like, "Hey, you want a job? Why are you building scaffolds?" And I'm like, you know. And he's like, "Well, you got to be certified." And I'm like, "Actually, I am certified in welding." And the guy's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, like, you know." And then he's like, "Wait a minute." And my dad's name's Bob. Well, Robert, but he goes by Bob. And he's like, "Bob, that's your boy?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's my son." He's like, "Why the hell is he not working for you?" And he's like, you know, kids and so, yeah, like, the union guy offered me a job. So I was like, yeah, I'll go work Boilermaker Union. You know, it's like, I was making like $27 an hour as a scaffold builder, as a crew leader, and this guy's offering me like $40 an hour to be a welder. I'm like, yeah, let's go do it.
Yeah, I'll be happy. I'll be happy for a $13 an hour difference.
Yeah,
I'll make it work.
So my issue with unions was the dues. So I'm having to pay them to keep working, right? So not only that, but they wouldn't let me weld straight up. Like, I had to go through their apprenticeship program and do all this. So I'm sitting in the classroom, and I'm like, I already learned all this shit, you know? Like, I've already been through this with college. That's why college didn't work for me, because here I am going to college, and I'm like, you're teaching me everything I've already learned the last 4 years in high school. Like, why? Like, stop. Teach me something new. I'm paying you. Like, let's go. So, yeah, and so I went through all that. I went through their apprenticeship program for like 2 months, tested out, did good, was welding on a turnaround. Then there's like a lull in between. Well, I didn't know during the lull I was still having to pay my dues because I'm not working. So the next thing comes up to work, and they're like, "Oh, you missed the sign up for this turnaround. We'll catch you in a week. You know, like, we haven't received your dues." So I was like, "All right, fine." So I go and hit up somebody I know in another shop to work, to get some extra work so I can pay my dues. I go into that shop and I'm working. As I'm working there that day, a union steward walks in and sees me and is like, "You're not authorized to work in here. So you're kicked out." So, yeah, 6 months in the union, I got kicked out because I was trying to work because I didn't have any work.
Wow.
So that's my love-hate relationship for unions.
That's awful.
So,
Yikes.
I mean, I get it. There's rules and there's regulations and stuff, but it's just not. And the funny thing about all of that is like a year later or so, there was a giant union strike in the Dow plants down there, to where like all the operators and stuff like did this lockout, and so we were locked in the plant. So like we had cots that we slept on, like air mattresses and stuff. They were feeding us 24 hours a day. We were working. We were on call around the clock, and like locked in because they were busting us in at first. And these dudes through the picket line were like throwing rocks at the bus and like beating on the side of the bus with baseball bats. Like, "How dare you scabs? How dare y'all come in?" And so, like,
They're a bunch of pussies.
I think it was like 4 months or 5 months we were locked in the plant and like couldn't leave. Like, just locked in, working. You know, something would go down, and they're like, "All right, here you go." And then, yeah, it was wild, dude.
What the hell? Speaking of what you learned first, that DC aluminum TIG, you do a lot of DC TIG, but yesterday you slicked out some aluminum. So
yeah, man.
What is your favorite process and material?
Stainless. Stainless will always be what I'm best at and what I'm good at because I've done so much of it. And then probably after stainless would be AC aluminum, just because like I don't do that much of it, and then when I get to do it, I'm so excited. I'm like, "Oh my god, I get to weld aluminum!" And you know, it's such a there's such a wide margin for error on AC for aluminum that you really have to zone it in and focus it in. And so it just, to me, it kind of presents a really big challenge. But I mean, when I worked in the plant and I was welding them down there, like I was the alloy guy, like Hastelloy, Monel, Inconel, titanium, like all those pipes, aluminum pipe, like all that stuff. Like that was like my thing. And it's like I'd get carbon steel and just kind of like turn my nose up at it, like, oh, I'm too good for carbon, But
your impressions are pretty good. You just did a good one at Jesse. So I want to say a sentence, and you got to finish it. And I know you're gonna know it.
Oh yeah.
Ready?
Is it my get to the chop saw thing?
Hey, let's do some miter cuts.
Hey guys, let's do some miter cuts. All right, come on, get to the chop saw. Get out, do that.
The chop saw.
It still pops up on my Facebook from Everlast.
Yeah, dude, that was fun, dude. That was like my first intro to. Is that wind blowing, like making a noise, and my phone's getting hot here in the garage? That was like Everlast had asked me to go to Tampa to film some videos, and they're like, I need 8 ideas for videos, and I'm talking to Todd and like talking with Jesse, because Jesse had gone before me, and like talking to Mark Winchester a little bit. Like, hey, what should I do? And everybody's like, just do what you do. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I do, I don't know what to teach anybody, like I'm a fabricator. I'm not a welder, like I don't really weld worth a shit. I fabricate well enough to where my welds look good. So, okay, let's do some fabrication stuff, and let's, do some stainless repairs, and let's just kind of go from there. And so, that was a very interesting trip, because I flew in on a Friday and left on a Sunday. So I get there like 3:30 or so on Friday, and take the Uber to like the Astra, where Everlast was, because it was the same place that weld.com was. So like Todd and Bob like started weld.com, like it's in the same like back of the Astaris like consumables or whatever they are. So you walk through this giant warehouse of like every consumable imaginable, like through this giant warehouse. And then in the back there's like this little area, and there's like this little booth that's the Everlast booth, and there's like several booths where I've seen like, oh, dude, I've seen Bob weld here. Oh, I've seen Redbeard do here. Like, Man Cub. And then, like, Man Cub was there. And so I got to meet him. And then, like, Bingo was there, Brian Legalio. And so, like, you get to the, meet Todd and all that. And I'm like, all right, well, somehow, some way, I decided that my first video was going to be aluminum spool gun, like how to set up an aluminum spool gun, and I had never done it before. Like, never done it before. So we're trying to get it all set up and everything, and we get it running, we film the video on it or whatever, and then realize that, like, I'm so nervous that it's just not working. And Todd, like, kicks everybody out, and he's like, all right, let's see if we can do some other stuff. And so we start doing, like, DC TIG, start setting up there, and he's like, all right, this is what we're going to do. Scrap that video, we're just going to do this. So I'm like, all right, cool. And Todd Klauser is who I'm talking about, by the way. I don't know if y'all know who he is. Todd's amazing. Todd is like the video and audio genius behind weld.com. Like, this is a guy that we've all seen Todd's work for several years. Like, there's not a person, I don't think, in the weld community who doesn't know his work, but they might not know the guy behind the camera. And so he's like, all right, are you hungry? And I'm like, yeah, I'm starving. So, like, me, him, and Bingo go to dinner. And then he's like, all right, in the morning, I'm going to pick you up at 6. Let's hit it hard. I'm like, all right, cool. So picks me up from the hotel. We go down there in the morning. They got this giant whiteboard. And he's like, all right, let's write down the ideas. So I'm like, all right. So on one side, I write down all the video ideas I have that I want to go. And we get everything like, hey, here's all the coupons, here's all this, because Man Cub and Bingo had been setting up all the coupons for everything. Bless their heart, dude. They were rocking it out for us. And so we write all these ideas down. Well, then Todd flips the video board over, and he's like, we only have one camera, so everything's got to be like 4 or 5 takes of everything you do. So it's not just have multiple cameras and film one run. It's like I have to say everything 4 or 5 times because it's got to be captured, right? So I'm super nervous, and I'm just like not really comfortable at that moment. So I'm doing the video and everything. Well, in between takes, I start doing the silly-ass voices. And I'm like, you know, just doing random, because really he only needs the video because I had nailed the audio the first time, I guess. And so he's like, oh, the audio's good. We're good. I got the audio. You can just say whatever you want to. Maybe if it's better, I can cut it and place it. I'm like, all right, fine. So then I'm like, you know, it's like, so here we go. This is the stainless, and we're going to do some DC take here, and we're going to go. And then, you know, there's probably a whole video of me doing the Arnold Schwarzenegger voice, and just anything I could to, like, make it awkward, but, like, cut my nerves down. Because if I can laugh at myself, then nobody can bother me.
Right.
And so somewhere there's a chop saw video of me doing everything like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and that's where that bit came from. And he cut it up and put it on the internet.
When did you get with the Edge Army?
Oh gosh, dude, 2018, 2019, somewhere around there. It was I was friends with Alfred Kugler. And I think he was with them at the time. This was like kind of back in the beginning stages of the Edge. And we were talking, and I was like, hey, man, what's up with those cups you're using? He's like, oh, I'll send you one. Check it out. And he sent me a couple, and I ran them. And then I had like a kind of wanted it shorter. And so inadvertently kind of reached out to Edge a little bit. He and I both like worked on it a little bit, and like, oh man, you know, this would be cool if they could be just a little bit shorter, because that 15 cup was like real deep on the throat. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted it shorter, and reached out and started talking to Stacia, and not really Eric, but started talking to Stacia, and she's like, yeah, we could do custom cups, and you know, and eventually somewhere along the lines it started being like, oh, you know, we have a team. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. You know, it'd be awesome to be sponsored. You know, like I don't know what that's like. You know, it's, you know, you see Dabs and all the guys, and you're like, oh man, this is cool. You know, these guys are sponsored. You know, like it'd be cool one day to be sponsored, and then it just happened, and you're like, what the hell? Like how did that happen? Like what? And it wasn't even called the Edge Army then. So we get further into it, and then we start developing the shorter cup. So we check it. Okay, well, maybe it needs to be 3/16 of an inch shorter. Let's go half an inch. Oh, okay, half an inch is too much. We're still getting a lot of turbulence because of the way that it flows out the edge of the cup. It needs a little bit of stability when it comes past the screen, so that way it doesn't like fold in or push out too much. So that way, because if it pushes out too much, you get that outside atmosphere sucking into it, so it contaminates your puddle. So thus, several trials later, the Shorty series was born. And that's how the Shorty series of Edge Cups came. But Stacia said that they had already like done it prior to that for other people, like several. So it wasn't really like our idea, but it kind of became that way. And then, you know, we're both on the team, and we're like, oh, it's so cool, we're sponsored, you know. And then he's like, oh, but it's got to have a cool name, you know, like the Blue Demons got their thing, you know, so-and-so's got theirs, you know, like, and so it was, dude, there was several names thrown around, and I think it was him that finally came up with, like, Edge Army. Let's call it the Army. Let's call it the Edge Army. And I was like, I don't know, man. Like, you know, I was trying to push for something. I don't even know what I was trying to push for, like some weird stuff. So.
Huh. The way you're talking about sponsorships, how it kind of just comes over time. That's exactly right. It was so random.
Yeah.
In Atlanta after FabTech, like literally right after the show, I texted Oleg, and I was like, hey, it was nice to meet you. yada, yada, yada. And he was like, you too, bro. You want welder? That's how that went. And then
mine was more of, dude, Oleg's a trip, dude. I love that guy.
Legend.
Bro, hey, bro, I got you, bro. Hey, bro, hey, buddy, bro, come here, bro. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Him and Jesse have unique voices. That's so funny.
But Jesse just sounds like he looks.
How he looks?
Yeah, Jesse, I think, sounds exactly like he looks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jesse sounds like he's been working 16-hour days his entire life, and he's just like, oh, I'm fed up with everything, bro. Oh man, Jesse's just, you know.
Dude, you're
His
good
face
at
definitely
impressions.
matches his voice, no doubt about it.
And the way he showed up to that AWS gala after the Chicago Fab Tech, that is definitely Jesse.
Dude, there was a point in time in history where Jesse and I were DMing one another back and forth, and we were like, man, it would be so cool one day for us to be sponsored. Like, oh, this would be so cool. Like, it'd be the coolest thing ever, you know, like, because here we are thinking that, you know, you get sponsored by a company and you just get all this free shit, you know? And then, you know, and so it's like, all right, yeah, man, it'd be so cool. And then it happens, and we're like, whoa, wait a minute, what? And then Jesse just pretty much took off with it and ran with that opportunity into, I don't know what he is now, like
Chief welding officer is what he said his
Chief
title
welding
was.
officer.
That's
Okay, I could see that. That makes sense.
He said that's what everybody calls him, but
Yeah.
I can't remember what his
BWO.
official title was. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's just cool to see your friends and the whole community of things. Like, I remember at one point in time, because, so like Mark Winchester and Jesse's styles are so different for AC welding, that they both thought each other hated one another, right?
Yeah.
And it turns out they're the same damn person.
That's kind of he told us a little bit about that, how him and Mark hated each other. Now they're both the tech support for Everlast.
Yeah, dude, that's a cool gig.
That's a dream team.
Yeah, dude, like I don't know, man. Like I've talked to so many people behind the scenes throughout the years. It's just kind of crazy that how things come and go.
Right. Yeah, I mean, how long have you been with Everlast?
I think since around the same time I've been with Edge.
Was it a 210 EXT? Was that your first unit?
No. 325 EXT was my first unit.
Oh, dang. You still got it?
Yeah. But, I mean, it's just kind of cool to see from the other side of the curtain. You really realize how things are different from, you know, like the everyday welder. You buy the product, you use the product, cool, okay, cool. You see the people or whatever. And it wasn't really until, like, there was this young kid, Tanner McDonald, that started working at the shop, and he's like, man, he was showing me pictures of weld porn. And dude, I think it was like 2015 or something like that. And I'm like, I could do that. And he's like, you could do that? I've seen your welds, man. Like, I don't know. And I'm like, no, dude, I could do that. And I, like, adjusted the machine and then just laid down this perfectly gold dime. And he's like, whoa, dude, you really can do that. You should get on the internet and show your pictures of welds. And I'm like, Well, then, like, I started Googling, like, weld porn and looking at all that stuff. And it just kind of like, oh, well, maybe I could show some things here and there. And just kind of, like, fell into it, pretty much.
Huh.
And so.
Now you're here.
Now you're here.
But yeah, as far as getting with Everlast, it's kind of a weird thing. So we had been running a Dynasty 300 at the shop, and then we had a Synchrowave 325 or something like that, LX. And the Synchrowave died, or no, the Dynasty died, the board went out. And so it was like, all right, well, we're waiting to hear back from Miller Tech Support, and they didn't answer, so I'm running the sink, just running the hell out of the sink. Well, then the sink died, And I'm like, well, shit. Like, I got to have something at the shop. I got to use something. So we had, like, a Lincoln TIG something. I don't even remember what it was. But that's, like, buried in the corner somewhere. So I'll pull that out, start using it. And then this other kid starts. That Tanner kid starts. And I'm like, man, you know, like, and so I'm seeing these Everlast machines and stuff online, seeing Jesse running them or whatever. And then I look at the price of them, and I'm like, 325 EXP is like $2,500. Like, why is this machine so cheap? Like, we just bought this Dynasty, and this Dynasty is like 16 grand. Like, what the hell?
Yep.
Wait a minute. The board is $2,500 for the Dynasty. Like, huh. And so I was talking to my boss, and my boss goes, I'll tell you what, we'll order the board, and we'll order that EXP. We'll order that machine. I'll give you $5,000. And then that way you have a backup machine. We'll sell some of these other ones. So we ordered the EX, like I called Everlast, talked to them. Oleg, like we ordered it, Oleg overnighted it. He's like, I get you up and running. No reason you should be down, bro. I got you. So like, all right.
Jeez.
He's like, you try it. You don't like the machine, we refund you money, no problem. Okay, cool. I'm down with that. And so, like, overnight the machine, come in, set it up. I'm like, all right, man, it's okay. Like, I don't know what this machine does. Like, I don't know all these bells and whistles. Like, let's see what it does, and just start running it and running it and running it. And then 8 months later, the board finally comes in for the Dynasty.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I've been running the 325 EXT wide open for 8 months in production, and it has not missed a beat. And I'm like, there's no way for $2,500. Like, this is crazy. And so, like, all right, well, we put the board in the Dynasty. Dynasty sits in the corner still. And then, like, after about a year, boss was like, oh, so you really like that one? I'm like, yeah, I like this machine. And he's like, well, it's good. We got a good deal on it. I'm like, yeah, that's regular price. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah. Okay, well, cool. And, like, it just started running and posting with it. And then eventually they reached out to me.
Huh.
And was like, hey, you want to film some videos? I'm like, sure. And then from there, I think in that meantime, one Christmas, I wanted to get a TIG welder for the house. So my wife, my mother-in-law, and my dad, all three of them went in on a 206 SI. So it's DC TIG and plasma. So that way I had a plasma cutter and I could do DC TIG at the house. And then that was like the first machine I bought. And then the 210 EXT I have was actually given to me.
From who?
And then, like, then the Storm, like I got on the Storm project, the Storm 215C. Like, they sent me one of those and were like, find the problems with it. Run the hell out of it. So that's what happened.
Well, we got about an hour of good footage, Brad. Here's one question we ask every guest before.
What music I listen to?
Yeah, while you work or
That's
what.
our question.
90s punk.
90s
punk. And if it's not 90s punk, then it's metal, bro. Like,
That fits.
Yeah.
That fits.
I saw you.
Yeah.
You made a post
I can see
about. I don't know how to pronounce it properly, but my dad listens to it too. Rammstein.
Rammstein. Dude, so a little side note. I used to do like touring with bands, like being burnt out in the weld industry. Like, my dream was to be a musician, right? So I had played guitars and had like punk bands going on, and occasionally we do not occasionally, like 2 or 3 times a month we're playing shows in Houston. Like, we're gaining a following, we're doing really good, things are going good. And we're like, we're just like, we got to record an album and then we're going to get signed. And then you don't realize how much of a failure is in the music industry as opposed to. So, like, I moved to Austin. We get to Austin, and I'm like, I'm the best guitar player, like punk guitar player in like the Houston area. Like, in my brain, I'm not. I'm like 24. And so, Like, it's just like, okay, cool. Well, I'll go and go to this club. 2 minutes into the club, this dude's up on stage. I remember him playing JT Coalfire, and it's like an open mic guitar thing. Dude is just like killing it, bro. Like just murdering a guitar, and I'm like, yeah, okay, so I can't do this. I'm a failure, but I'm not moving back to Lake Jackson. Like, forget that. Like, only losers move back home. I'm going to stay in Austin. And so I started my first wife at the time, her cousin, did live sound and stuff for bands, and he kind of hooked me up with a gig and learned how to run. Like, I knew how to do sound and stuff because I'd had PAs for my band and, like, knew how to mix a little bit but didn't really know how to mix. And so he, like, taught me, and I was working at, like, Antones and Stubbs and, like, Austin Music Hall and stuff like that, like, running sound for bands, like, tons of bands, like, pretty much anybody you can think of. So, but, yeah, we did the Rammstein concert one night at Austin Music Hall, and you talk about people setting shit on fire. It was, like, dude, like, these guys are, I think they're, like, actual stuntmen or something. I've heard the rumor. I don't know if not. But, like, literally set the entire, they bring in this stage and everything and set the entire stage on fire and are performing while standing in fire. Like, no exaggeration. And it's just like, holy shit, this is crazy.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you coming on, Brad. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you for starting your week off right with the Iron Insight every Monday morning at 4 a.m. Everlast link in the show notes. Any TIG-capable machine you order comes with the Nova Torch and TIG pedal upgrade. Edge Welding Cups, code BRINWELDS15 through the link in the description. And Mr. Andrew?
No,
and they
code ArcLifeFab15.
All right, shameless plug from him. Shameless
you can
plug,
use whatever you
plug.
want. Well, I'll put both the links in the description too.
And you can find any and all Southern Leather Works links in the bio for all your custom leather products and custom welding hoods. Mr. Brad, we really appreciate you taking the time this morning after letting your chickens out to come on this show and talk to us. Thank you very much.
All right, guys. Have a good one, man.
You too.
Bye.